It's like, where is the mic? Where is the mic? At one point she yelled, give me a mic, and they didn't give it. And she goes around him. She even ignores him. She ignores the guy.
He came from this very busy world of the royal family with lots to do. Even in his spare time, he could play polo and do whatever he wanted. He sat in Montecito, twiddling his thumbs, thinking, what do I do next? What is my role? Where is...
Prince Harry stands at center stage, shoulders squared, chin lifted, delivering a speech that has clearly been rehearsed to the last breath. Every pause is intentional. Every word lands exactly where it's meant to. His voice is calm, steady, almost clinical in its control. This is not improvisation. This is discipline. The room itself feels rigid, formal to the point of discomfort. The kind of place where people sit up straighter without realizing why. No phones raised, no murmurs, just a thick, expectant silence pressing in from all sides. Every eye is fixed on him. Every ear locked in.
You keep saying Meghan Markle, you know I'm Sussex now. I like working hard.
The atmosphere demands attention, respect, obedience. And then, without warning, the balance snaps. From the side of the stage, Meghan Markle steps forward. No introduction, no announcement, no cue from the organizers, just movement. The shift is instant and visceral. Heads turn, eyes widen. People glance sideways at each other as if silently asking.
Harry and Meghan specifically told media at the time of Archie's birth that they didn't want to give him a title because they wanted him to live a life as normal as possible. Cut to Oprah Winfrey interview where Meghan sits down and accuses the palace of not giving her son a title because of his skin color. That was so damaging for the royal family at the time.
Is this really happening right now? The energy in the room spikes. Sharp and electric, like a wire suddenly exposed. Harry feels it immediately. His body stiffens, just enough to notice if you're watching closely. He turns his head a fraction, acknowledging her presence, but something is different this time. There's no pause in his speech, no natural break, no moment of transition.
There's Harry telling her to back off. You see his hand here, below his big face, pointing at her, telling her to stay back.
He doesn't reach for her. He doesn't offer the microphone. He keeps talking. The mic stays firmly in his hand, and in that single choice, the message is deafening. The audience doesn't clap. They don't laugh. They don't even pretend to react. The silence that follows is heavy, deliberate, almost confrontational. It hangs in the air like a warning shot.
She's going around causing trouble, looking for a mic. Where is the mic? With that absolutely manic smile on her face.
This is not the moment Meghan expected. Not even close. For years, the rhythm had been predictable. Harry speaks, Meghan steps in. He yields space, she occupies it. That choreography had played out countless times, smooth enough that most people barely noticed it happening. But tonight, the script is torn apart. No smiles exchanged.
This guy right behind Harry, the same guy that rejected to give her the mic last year, is looking at her and he doesn't care.
No polite nods, no applause to smooth over the edges. Just stillness. Dense, uncomfortable, unmistakable. You can feel it physically. That tight sensation in your chest when something social goes wrong and no one knows how to fix it.
I curtsied as though I was like, pleasure to meet you, Your Majesty. Like, was that okay?
It's really quite...
And here's the real twist. What happens on that stage isn't the ending. It's the ignition point. Because once Meghan eventually steps back, the damage doesn't fade. It multiplies. Backstage, whispers spread fast, side eyes from insiders, phones lighting up in pockets as messages are sent, stories outlined, angles debated before the stage lights even cool. Sources later say the tension didn't disappear when the curtains closed. It followed them, thick and unresolved, into private rooms and hushed conversations.
Insiders are revealing to me the true story of how Meghan Markle failed.
And the question lingers, unspoken but impossible to ignore. Was Harry refusing to hand over the microphone a signal? A line drawn, quietly but deliberately? The first real indication that he's done playing the same role? The moment itself wasn't dramatic in the way people expect drama to be. There was no shouting, no visible argument, no chaos. That's what made it worse. Instead of admiration, the room locked up in confusion. Even Harry looked momentarily unsettled, his eyes narrowing just enough to show he knew something was off. That's when Meghan placed her hand on his back.
I would say about that, I think it's very important to shift this idea that play the opposite and make sure you can be taken seriously. My point in all of this is that no matter what you look like, you should be taken.
A familiar gesture, a practiced move, a silent signal that had worked every single time before. That touch had always meant one thing: step aside. Harry moves, Meghan speaks, automatic. Except this time it doesn't happen. Harry's grip tightens. His shoulders square instead of softening. He doesn't flinch. He doesn't pause. He doesn't acknowledge the signal at all. He keeps speaking, voice steady, gaze forward.
Again, I have to be careful what I say, but that I won't be able to show, my children.
It's a tiny refusal. Blink, and you'd miss it. But for anyone paying attention, it lands like a lightning strike. This isn't just awkwardness, it's a shift. Subtle, controlled, and unfolding live under the cameras, under the lights, in front of everyone who matters. The energy in the room flips instantly. What should have been a seamless, united moment now feels like watching a disagreement play out without a single word being spoken. Meghan forces a smile. Not relaxed, not natural, tight.
Now, Harry has full control of the mic. When Meghan walked on stage, she could have said, "Oh, here's my wife," and hand over the microphone. Did he do it?
Her hand lingers just long enough to show she isn't ready to retreat. The expectation is clear. The cue has been given. Harry doesn't respond. He keeps going. The audience stays frozen. No applause, no polite clapping, no awkward laughter to rescue the moment. Just a silence that stretches and stretches, growing heavier with every second. Meghan remains beside him, smiling, waiting.
Truly believe that when he met Meghan, she whispered into his ear, a 36-year-old mature woman whispered into his ear, "Harry, you and I could change."
Seconds feel like minutes. The longer it drags on, the louder the silence becomes. Harry continues, controlled, focused, almost stubborn, in his refusal to bend. Meghan stands in the spotlight, clearly expecting something, a nod, a cheer, a reaction that never comes. And in that suspended moment, it becomes undeniable. Something has changed. The audience isn't hostile. That would have been easier. They're indifferent. And in royal adjacent spaces, indifference cuts deeper than boos ever could. Blank faces, still bodies, emotional disengagement. The room has checked out. Meghan shifts her weight. She glances at Harry, searching for a cue, a signal, a rescue that doesn't arrive. Slowly, deliberately, she steps back toward the sidelines. The distance isn't far, but every step feels weighted, like a quiet concession she can't undo. Observers later said the air turned ice cold, not dramatic, not chaotic, just frozen. The kind of silence where everyone knows something went wrong, but no one dares acknowledge it out loud, and that silence doesn't end there. By the next morning, the moment has practically vanished from mainstream coverage. Major outlets skip the raw footage entirely. Instead, glossy still images flood timelines, Meghan smiling confidently, Harry standing beside her, both appearing perfectly aligned. To the casual viewer, nothing happened. No tension, no refusal, no crack in the image, just another polished appearance. The real moment, the one that mattered, carefully trimmed away. The discomfort didn't disappear. It was erased. What the audience felt in real time was quietly rewritten with clean edits, softened angles, and carefully selected stills. On official broadcasts, the moment was smoothed into something harmless, almost warm. A composed couple, a unified front. Nothing to see here. But social media didn't cooperate. Short clips began circulating almost immediately. Uncut, raw, shaky phone footage filmed from the audience. No filters, no transitions, no narrative control. Just exactly what happened. Meghan stepping forward. The room freezing. Harry gripping the microphone and refusing to hand it over. Those clips detonated across platforms, racking up millions of views in hours. And suddenly the contrast was impossible to ignore. On television, harmony. Online, visible discord. Two completely different stories built from the same moment. Critics accused major outlets of running cover, protecting Meghan from what could have been a serious public image hit. Supporters pushed back just as loudly, insisting the silence was being exaggerated, that the body language was misunderstood, that people were projecting drama where none existed. But even among defenders, one thing couldn't be denied. The split was real. Two versions of reality now existed side by side. One polished and curated, one jagged and undeniable. And that divide didn't feel accidental. Royal coverage has always been controlled. That's not new. But this time, it didn't just soften the story, it reversed it. And that raised a far bigger question that no one could ignore anymore. If this moment was rewritten so aggressively, how many others never made it out at all? Because the deeper you look, the clearer it becomes. This wasn't just about one speech or one microphone. It was about control, about who gets to speak, who gets edited, and who gets erased. For years, Harry had been framed as the one who always bent first. He stepped back, cleared space. Let Meghan take the spotlight every single time. That was the image the public absorbed. Loyal, protective, almost invisible beside her shine. But that image cracked on that stage. In front of thousands, Harry didn't bend. He didn't yield. And that single refusal signaled something far bigger than nerves or timing. It hinted at resistance, at a shift. Not just in their marriage, but in how the world is starting to read their dynamic. And Harry's royal status only deepens the confusion. Officially, he's no longer a working royal. His duties stripped, his role reduced. And yet, at certain international events, he's still introduced as Prince Harry, spoken with a level of respect usually reserved for those still inside the institution. That mixed messaging keeps everyone guessing. He's not fully in, he's not fully out. He's suspended in a strange, uncomfortable middle ground. And standing beside him, Meghan begins to look less like an equal partner and more like someone forcing her way back into relevance through proximity. Insiders whisper that this confusion isn't accidental, that Buckingham Palace keeps Harry's role deliberately blurry, recognition when it suits them, distance when it doesn't. That ambiguity keeps headlines alive, keeps speculation flowing, keeps the Sussexes permanently tethered to the royal conversation, whether they want to be or not. That stage moment only exposed the tension further. Harry pushing back publicly raised questions the palace has never had to ask out loud before. Is he choosing the crown over his wife, or is he simply exhausted from being overshadowed? Either way, the cracks aren't hidden anymore. Polished photos and rehearsed smiles can't plaster over what people are starting to see. And the real battle isn't about microphones or speeches. It's about family. Sources close to the couple say Harry desperately wants his children to experience parts of the life he grew up in. He's spoken openly about tradition, about legacy, about elite British education. He imagines his son walking halls he once knew, not just as schools, but as living history, as identity. To Harry, that world represents continuity, belonging, a bridge between generations. But Meghan reportedly wants none of it. She prefers raising the children in California, far from royal rules, far from rigid expectations, far from institutions that she believes damage both her and Harry. To her, distance equals protection. And the disagreement doesn't stop at geography. Insiders claim conversations about British schooling are shut down quickly, unless, as one source put it, appropriate concessions are made. Security guarantees, financial control, media boundaries. To some observers, it looks less like compromise and more like leverage, a quiet tug-of-war where power is negotiated behind closed doors. Friends describe Harry as increasingly frustrated, still loyal, still trying to keep the peace, but no longer silent. He longs for ties to his past while feeling boxed in by firm refusals. The irony is heavy. Their children, still so young, have become symbols in a much larger struggle. Tradition versus independence, loyalty versus rebellion, past versus future. And while the public only witnessed a fleeting microphone moment, those close to the couple insist the real power struggle has been unfolding far from the cameras for a long time. If Meghan's move onto the stage was bold, what followed was brutal. Event organizers made a quiet but unmistakable shift for the rest of the evening. Meghan was no longer front and center. She was guided subtly to the side, close enough to remain visible, far enough to send a message. No announcement, no explanation. Her role had changed, and everyone in the room felt it immediately. Observers clocked the details without needing commentary. The designer gown that was clearly meant to command attention looked strangely awkward under the harsh lighting. The silhouette didn't land the way it was supposed to. Social media later pointed out the stiff smile, the tightness in her expression, the energy that simply wasn't connecting. Nothing had to be said out loud. Everything was visible. While Harry moved comfortably through the room, shaking hands, exchanging quiet words, laughing easily with guests, Meghan remained seated. She clapped at the appropriate moments, smiled when cameras passed, but she rarely engaged with anyone nearby. No leaning in, no warm exchanges, no effortless networking. For someone accustomed to commanding attention, the silence from the crowd and the cool distance from organizers landed like a quiet humiliation. Critics noticed everything. The forced laughter that came a second too late, the rigid posture, even the way her jewelry caught the light in a way that felt more like an echo of past glamour than present influence. Supporters tried to brush it off as nothing more than an innocent oversight. A long night, bad angles, overanalysis, but people who were actually in the room knew better. This wasn't random. The shift was subtle, but brutal. For the first time, Meghan wasn't just overlooked. She was sidelined. And as the evening dragged on, it became increasingly clear that the audience had zero interest in helping her reclaim control. There were no spontaneous cheers, no energy lift, no moment where the room rallied around her presence. The silence wasn't hostile, it was worse. It was disinterest. But while Meghan absorbed that sting in real time, the palace was playing an entirely different game. Within hours, contradictory headlines began rolling out. Some outlets framed Harry as a respected prince, treated with the same formality and deference he once received in the UK. Others doubled down on the narrative of a man cut off, stripped of status, removed from royal privilege entirely. That contradiction wasn't sloppy reporting. It was strategy. By keeping Harry's role deliberately unclear, the palace guarantees speculation. Every appearance becomes a guessing game. Will he be honored or ignored, recognized or brushed aside? That uncertainty fuels debate, sells headlines, and keeps the Sussexes locked into the royal conversation whether they want to be or not. And Meghan's presence only complicates it further. She draws attention, clicks, headlines, global interest. But her polarizing image ensures that every moment becomes a flashpoint. Critics argue the palace learned from past mistakes. Instead of cutting the Sussexes off completely, they've chosen a more effective approach. Keep them hovering at the edge, visible enough to matter, distant enough to hold no real power. It's a familiar tactic. Not fully inside the fold, but never fully released either. For Meghan, that blurred status is a nightmare. Every appearance gets dissected, every silence amplified. Nothing feels stable, nothing feels secure. For Harry, it's a different kind of trap. Neither free from his past nor fully embraced by it. Together, they're stuck in a cycle where the institution and the media profit from the tension, while their public image erodes piece by piece. And if that wasn't damaging enough, the fallout from that stage moment pushed their already fragile dynamic into dangerous territory. What started as a routine speech quietly turned into a public turning point. Meghan stepping onto that stage wasn't just unexpected. It was revealing. The silence of the crowd, Harry's refusal to hand over the microphone, the way the media rushed to smooth it over afterward. Every detail exposed cracks that were never meant to be seen. And if things looked that tense with cameras rolling, imagine what's happening behind closed doors. This story isn't finished, not even close. If you thought this moment was intense, wait until you see what we uncovered next. A hidden family twist involving Meghan that reportedly left Harry completely stunned. And it connects directly to everything you just watched. Don't stop here. Click the next video, watch the full breakdown, and drop your thoughts in the comments. Like, subscribe, and share, because this story is unfolding fast, and you won't want to miss what comes next.